talk about you and your biography, which we have talked about before on this program. Born in Hungary, when you were 14 years old, your father taught you, you say, in a masterful way, the art of survival.
Yeah.
What did you mean?
Well, because, you know, this was the German occupation. We would have been taken away and killed. And he had enough sense, because of his previous experiences, to realize that the normal
What do you mean
rules,
his previous experience?
Well, he was a prisoner of war in Russia,
right.
And he escaped, and he lived through, saw this turmoil, you know, fighting, and I mean, he went through a horrendous experience, and that taught him a lesson which then came in very useful.
Which is,
well,
tell
it's
me more.
basically that there are times when the normal rules don't apply. You see, the way you've looked at the world is just not applicable because the world has changed. It's a revolutionary situation.
When has it been applicable in your life, and when has it been employed in your life?
Well, it was certainly had this experience with the Nazi regime, then the communist regime, the beginnings of the communist regime, and then actually I've kind of specialized on these far from equilibrium situations in the financial markets. That's been my specialty.
But explain more.
In other words, changes, you see, people generally play with a certain set of rules.
Right.
And I am particularly interested in changes in the rules of the game. And so I'm looking for the new game and the new rules, how they are played. So because I'm attuned to that, I can sort of sometimes anticipate or understand these periods of regime change when something really new is happening. Let's say anything to do with technology, let's say internet is something really revolutionary. It's something probably comparable to the invention of printing, and is happening currently. Now that changes a lot of things.
And was that the reason for the investors' enthusiasm for Netscape?
That's right.
Right.
That's right. No, that may be, of course, an exuberance, but still, that is far from equilibrium. That's a revolutionary change.
That is just the internet, in your judgment, the World Wide Web, is as important as the printing press.
Yes, I think it will change, you know, the way we do many things. Not just, I mean, the way we do research, the way we do our shopping, the way we communicate with people. You know, to a large extent, I think it will replace television because it will replace the newspapers, because we'll probably get the information sort of collated for us.
Yes.
You know? So I mean, it's too difficult to anticipate.
But do you have a clear vision?
No, I don't have a clear vision. I just have a vision that there's some.
You know that there's a moment of change.
I have a chaotic vision, not a clear vision.
You have a moment, but you know there's a moment of change here taking place because of the internet.
Yes.
Because it changes the way the world speaks to each other.
That's right.
The individuals in the world, and gives people the capacity to go around institutions that they have access to institutions in a different way. It sort of democratizes.
That's right.
In a way.
Yeah, it will change many things. So that's one example. But I mean, you take, let's say, Europe, the integration and disintegration of Europe. Those are, you know, what we talked about. It makes me bearish on the French market. So those are the changes that I look at.
Now, does that still mean you adhere to macro investing, or is it?
Oh yes, of course.
And that basically is looking at a series of forces that you think.
Yes.
Whatever the currency you're looking at, whether it's bonds or stocks or commodities or currency.
Right. Well, if it's a macroeconomic change, then you've got sort of macro instruments like bonds, or which allow you to play them.
Yeah. What did markets teach you about your philosophical framework?
Well, it was a laboratory where I could test my ideas. And
because it is a hard-headed, very realistic laboratory.
Yeah, it's a hard taskmaster.
Yes,
you see.
you know.
So there is such a thing as reality. Okay, there's one should realize, and funny thing to say that the market is reality, because it seems to be so far removed from reality. But that is actually reality is, because all the false ideas and misconceptions that we have, and which play in the market, is part of the reality that we have to think about. So the role of misconceptions is tremendously important in forming reality. You see, that
the reality of the market is infused by your recognition of all the misassumptions that go into it.
You see, one of the major misconceptions, which we sort of started with the Greek philosophers and then was reinforced by science, the success of science, is that our thinking is here and reality is there. And there's a correspondence between the two. You know, we try to understand what's out there. But in effect, our thinking is part of the reality that we are trying to understand. You see, so instead of thinking of sort of two parallel things, we have to realize that there is one big thing, which is reality. Okay. The more we understand, the better we can cope with it, the more sophisticated our civilization becomes. The more complicated, the more there is to understand.
What do you think is the best? I want to come to the markets and how you feel about the fact that the markets are not perfect. Well, let me go to that first. Do you think the markets are not perfect?
Well, I think one of the misconceptions prevailing is that you know, there's such a thing, rational expectations, efficient markets, and so on. I think that basically markets, it's closer to the truth to say that markets are always wrong than to say that they're always right. Okay, they're not always wrong, but
it's closer to the truth.